What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Madhouse. And today it is part two. We're talking altars. We're talking about 5, 6 different matchups, trying to help you guys really take Steel Song and kind of get you off to a really great start or give you ideas into how to play the most difficult part of Steel Song, and that is the altars, so you don't end up with those super bricky hands and you don't kind of just lose yourself the game. All right, so that's what we're looking at. Again, if you haven't seen part one, we go through quite a few of the most popular meta decks. We're 4 of them, and just kind of how you play the blind. So go check out that video. Okay, that's going to be in the description. But let's jump into this one. And as I move my mug out of the way, I do want to remind you guys what the list looks like that we'll be looking at. And it's going to be this one, okay? So the list we're looking at, this, I've already made a few changes to this, and that's not the point of this video. But what is the point of this video is altars, and this is the list that we're going to be doing the altars with, okay? So if you ever get confused or whatnot, just come back to this and you'll understand why I'm mentioning the things that I do mention. Moving on. We're going to talk about the 5 lists that are on the right side of the screen. Okay, that's blue steel, green steel, yellow steel, both green yellows, and purple steel. So we're going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different lists today, and cards that you're going to want to respect that they're going to be playing, and then how you go about really just owning that altar and really setting yourself up to get the win that you deserve because you're a Steel Song player and you're better, well, than everyone else. But let's jump into the first one, and we're of course talking about purple steel because this is one that a lot of people do struggle with. They're really afraid of this whole repeat thing when repeat isn't always the best. They have to set up a pretty good line to be able to just play Pete and then Fox or Snake and play Pete again, and then Fox or Snake and play Pete again. Like, they have to have the right cards to be able to do it, and they have to have the right field to be able to do it. So if you ever find yourself in a position where your opponent is doing that, they're using their turns to bounce Pete and play Pete over and over and over again, just start setting up your own board, okay? You don't have to turn because, you don't want to give that free Fox value, things like that. So just continue to set up your board very strategically, and you're going to be okay. Most of your stuff is questing for more than most of theirs. So by the time you do start questing, or by the time you do have your singers set up, you're going to be able to just blow up their whole board because Pete isn't taking songs from your hand. So they play Pete. You're not able to sing songs, but they're not going anywhere. The most I've seen is I had an opponent, they repeated 9 times and it didn't matter. I just kind of sat there. I would quest with like a Lawrence, a Smee, because those were safe quests. And then I just kind of sat there and took it. And meanwhile, I'm playing an aerial, another aerial. I'm drawing into another song. And I ended up with like 5 songs. And by the time they finally ran out of Pete's, I was able to blow up their entire board. I was able to quest, and the game was over in the next 2 turns anyways. So don't get, super concerned about the whole repeat thing. If you control their board early, then they're never going to be in a position where those repeat turns really matter. Now, the things you do have to worry about, though, is Crab and Fox. Those ones are big problem cards. When you look at JDR's list, which is, the most popular list that you'll normally see running around, we're on 10 1-drops. So that Crab represents a lot of utility. That Fox represents a lot of utility. So if you blow up their 1-drops, that's a pretty great way to start. If you start Cindy and let the Storm Rage on, a good purple steel player isn't going to play that 1-drop. They're going to try for once they know they're against Steel Song, they're really going to try for 2 1-drops so they can drop double 1-drop on turn 2, and then hope that you just don't blow them both up with your Cindy, Ursula, Cindy, Troubadour. So just something to keep in mind. If they do skip turn 1, then understand that they have a Fox or a Crab in hand. And so their turn 2, they're going to drop the double 1-drop. And then turn 3, they're going to play that Fox or that Crab. And Crab probably being the worst one, the one you really don't want to see them play on turn 3. So just really be prepared for that and expect that coming. So set your board up correctly. If you think that's coming, if they skip turn one and they go double one drop on turn two and turn three, and then you're not able to take out both of them, then maybe your best bet is to not quest yet that turn so you can set up something like a Lawrence, all right? Because once you get the Lawrence set up, then you're going to have trade value going into most things other than the Fox. The other thing you have to worry about is Calhoun. Calhoun is going to create kind of some issues, right? She's a little bit harder to deal with. She trades into all your stuff really well, and she gains 2 lore every single time. So definitely watch out for that. But those are the big problem cards. If you control the early game, there's really not a lot they can do. Some of your most important things going into this matchup is going to be Cindy into the Singer 4. So whether that be Troubadour or Ursula, those are both going to be really, really, really good. And that Troubadour or Ursula being the really big one, because that allows you to Zeus the fox, or sorry, Zeus the snake, the Calhoun, the Smee, and kind of just own their board. And this is one match where Troubadour really shines, because if they start the Diablo plus Crab can't take out the Troubadour. So that's a pretty big deal. If they go double one drop on 2, and then they play a snake on turn 3, now they have a snake and a broom down. Snake and broom can't take out your Troubadour, okay? So this is one match where Troubadour just really shines above Ursula, in my opinion. But Purple Steel, definitely not an easy matchup. I believe it's kind of a 50-50 matchup where if you don't skill gap your opponent, they're going to beat you to death, because they just have these tempo lines that don't quit. This kind of rabbit version is running the Zeuses and the strengths, so they have this ability to, if they get there, then they can start controlling the board themselves with the songs that you wish you had. And then they do still have a lot of reach with the Roses and the Goats. So this is not an easy matchup, but if you control the early game, you get the Cindy down, you get the Cindy down, you get the Ursula or Troubadour down, it's pretty much game over, because then you go turn 3 Ariel, searching for another song. Turn 4 you drop Lawrence. And then at this point, if you have a wheel, if you have a whole new world, you use the whole new world, and you get songs to control their board, and on top of that, you get to go wide again. It's not a bad matchup. Don't freak out if you see it. Do not get intimidated by the repeat turns, okay? Be patient. It's extremely important to be patient, okay? Set up the value trades. Set up the ability to get your own Rapunzel heals, okay? So realize also the point where you set up a big board, and maybe it's time to just force them to do something more than repeat, and you just quest down everything. It's finding that point where you need to flip the coin. You need to be like, I'm in control. I'm going to start forcing them to do something, because I can quest for 10 in this one turn. Things to keep in mind. Next up, we do have Green Steel. And Green Steel, it's been one of those matches that's, that people have had a really tough time with for a really long time. And it's only gotten better for Green Steel because of the Shift Pete. And I don't have Shift Pete on the list over here of cards you need to watch out for, because there is only 3 in their deck, okay? So it is not something they're going to see every time. But if they do high roll and they go, Little Pete on 3 into Shift Pete on 4, you're in for a tough game, okay? Because that Pete is going to be able to trade into so much. Yeah, Zeus can't get rid of it if it's exerted, right? Because it has resist +1. So you need to first damage it and then Zeus it. So your only answer is World's Greatest Criminal Mind. But the problem is this Ursula Deceiver right here. If they drop Ursula Deceiver on 2 and rip a World's Greatest Criminal Mind out of your hand, then you're going to lose. You only have 1 left, and the odds of you having it are pretty slim. But why these cards that I highlighted? Well, first off, Diablo. Like, Diablo creates a really big issue because you're stuck in this position of, do I use my songs to take out Diablo, or do I keep my songs to take out Ursula, Deceiver of All? Both really strong cards, both really, really effective. Diablo being able to give them so many resources, but Ursula, Deceiver of All also giving them a lot of resources, because if they double Singlet the Storm Rage on, they control the board. They get to draw 2 cards. If they double sing Sudden Chill, you lose 2 cards. If they double sing Strength of a Raging Fire, there's a good chance that's going to do 2 damage minimum, because they have Diablo and Ursula. So, or even just Ursula. Like that could be really good. So, just things to be aware of. Now, what do you do? One thing I do want to highlight is if they play Diablo, the 1-drop Diablo, and then turn 2 they play the 2-drop Morph, you always, 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 always take out the 2-drop Morph, okay? Now, I'm not talking about the shift Diablo. They haven't shifted Diablo yet, but if you see both of these characters down, you take out the Morph. I see it time and time again where people, I don't know if they just forget that Diablo can shift onto Morph, so they're so worried about Diablo that they take out the baby Diablo. You have to remember that Morph can be shifted on by the Big Pete, the Beast, and the Shift Diablo, okay? So you always, always, always take out Morph. The other thing is you have to decide, would I rather them have card advantage through Diablo, or would I rather take the risk of them having the Ursula, Deceiver of All? And if they do, then that presents a really big issue. Now, for that reason, I'm always going to try and keep the Ursula, or the singer for the Ursula, or the Troubadour, and an Ariel or 2. Like, I'm happy to keep 2 Ariels, because you might whiff with the first one, so maybe you need the second one. And so I'm always keeping any of my Ariels. I think 2 is going to be the max that I keep. But after that, I'm just looking to go fast. And if you do have the right hand, then there is a world where you can kind of just go Daisy, Smee, Lawrence. If you see a Penny, that could be really good, because you go Daisy, Smee, and then their turn 3, they play Ursula. So your turn 3 on the draw, you play a Penny on Smee. So now it's going to be almost impossible for them to take out the Smee. They have to use strength to do it. So something to keep in mind there. You really have to pay attention. What are you more worried about? And a lot of time, you're more worried about the Ursula, Deceiver of All. I don't mind giving them tons of resources, okay? Especially because if they're inexperienced green steel players, or even slightly more experienced ones, they're going to take every single draw of Diablo because they need to. And then your first whole new world, there's a good chance they're going to take 14 cards. Just the other night, I milled out a green steel player because they decided to take 14 early on when I played a whole new world, and they'd been seeing every single song in their deck. So they're drawing all these cards. I let their beast draw a bunch of cards. Next thing you know, in their last turn, they had a beast down. I had no characters that were exerted. So I just passed my turn, and then they had to draw 2, and they only had 1 card left in their deck. So milling green steel is definitely a possibility if they're drawing 14 cards off of one whole new world. So just things to keep in mind. You're not super afraid of them drawing resources. What you are super afraid of is you losing all of yours. In the altar of this, the thing that I really don't want to keep is any songs, okay? The only time that I'm going to be keeping songs is if they're on the play and they keep like 5 or 6, there's a good chance that they have that perfect high roll. They have the Diablo into the Shift Diablo, into the Ursula, and it's just going to be bad news bears. At this point, I might keep 2 damage songs if I have them, especially if it's 2 strengths, because now they have to choose to take one out, and I can at least take out the Diablo or something else. But I generally do not try and do the high roll route of keeping a song. If I will let them high roll, because when green steel high rolls, they always high roll better than you, okay? The thing to keep in mind is they're not questing anywhere super fast. So you can afford to let them high roll early, but all you need really is 1 whole new world, and the game's going to kind of be yours. So I'm really trying to get the Cindy into the uh I'm happy if I have an Ursula, if I have a Singer 4, then I will keep like a Daisy over a Cindy. And the reason for this is because I want to ensure that I have 3 characters down when their Ursula is coming down. Because if I keep a Cindy and I play Cindy on turn 1, but they shift Diablo and then take out my Cindy, then I lost that Singer. And if I was counting on that over a Singer 4, then that's going to be an issue. Now, if you don't have a Singer 4, keep a Cindy, right? Because you need to have a Singer if you're on the draw, or sorry, if you're on the play. Yes, if you're on the draw, because when you're on the play, you'll get your 3 drop down before them. So your Lawrence, your Ariel, those things, you'll be able to take out their Ursula Deceiver of All before they can do anything. So on the play, I'm not as concerned, but on the draw, I really want to keep those early Singers. And then I really just want to spam down these Lawrences and these Smees and just quest out, because they have to spend the beginning of their game controlling your board, because they're just not ever going to out aggro you with this kind of lineup. So don't fret. I know it's discard. Just play your game. Get those aerials. Don't be afraid to hard cast Whole New World. Okay. Do not be afraid to hard cast Whole New World. That if they take out your aerial, your Robin Hood, and then you draw one, just slam it down. And it's another one of those things where we're not running bare necessity, so we can't see their hand. So if you do find yourself with a Whole New World, you're better off just playing it. Even if you're like, I really don't know if I want to get rid of these cards, you're better off playing it, because you want those cards so you can just go wide, you can control and just in the game, okay? So if you have the opportunity, use it before they just remove it somehow with all these discard options. So moving on, we do have, well, okay, moving on. No, stop it. Did I think I like hyperlinked the Ursula or something. Okay, there we go. All right. So next up we have Blue Steel, and we're using Harlan's list here, the Kiwi version, because we're not seeing a whole lot more people run Kiwi. But because Kiwi was really popular last set, because Blue Steel was popular at the beginning of this set, there's a good chance Kiwi is going to be popular again this set. The deck is a tempo deck. Tempo players really like their tempo. And Blue Steel is just doing that really well. You know, things you want to watch out for. They do have the Robin Hood shift line, so you got to respect that. You got to respect the Calhoun. This ability is the same as what we talked about earlier with Purple Steel. It just trades really well, gains them that passive lore. And those early passive lores, they play a big deal, because if they get that Alice down and then they start giving ward to Pluto, that Pluto's hard to deal with. Alice starts questing for 2, Smee questing for 2. It just starts to hurt. The other thing is the Fire the Cannons. Right now, Harlan's feeling those 2 Fire the Cannons, and that does slow things down a bit. If you start Cindy or you start Robin Hood, that Fire the Cannons is going to be really impactful going into you. So something to bear in mind as well. Do not put all of your chickens in the Robin Hood shift line, all your eggs in a basket. I don't know. Maybe don't put all your eggs in that basket of Robin Hood shift line. Because they might have Fire the Cannons, okay? I definitely preferred Blue Steel when it wasn't on it, because, our shift line is so powerful against them, but now they're on it again, so respect that they play it. The other stuff, looking at their list, Windy Darling giving that support 3, so respect the Calhoun. If that Windy Darling comes down, Calhoun can take out anything on your board other than Aerial Sonic Warrior if you were to run that card. We're not in our list right now. But if you were to run that card, so something to keep in mind. I realize I'm not going through the Dreamborn, so we'll do that at the end for this video. But so keep that in mind as well. The things I'm looking for into this match, again, Singers. When you're going against these tempo decks, that green steel discard, the purple steel, this blue steel, they're tempo decks. And against tempo decks, you just control their early, and eventually it's just not enough. They just won't be able to get there. Meanwhile, I really try to get a Lawrence down on 3, because Lawrence can start trading really well into that Alice. So if they don't play Pluto, then Lawrence just kind of takes out the Alice, or they just can't do anything with Alice. So you're really trying to do that. Now, if they go Alice into Pluto, there's a good chance they put Pluto into Bodyguard and then they quest with the Alice, and then they give war to Pluto. So don't count on your world's greatest criminal mind as your answer for Pluto, because Alice will protect that Pluto and give it ward, so you can't remove it. And then now you have to trade in potentially 2 characters into that Pluto before you can start hitting the other things. So those singers are really impactful. In this list in particular, Smee plus Penny can be really impactful because you get that free trade into Calhoun that they might not be expecting. So things to keep in mind there with that list. So moving on, we do have a green yellow, and this is going to be green yellow discard. And luckily, we've been pretty blessed. We haven't seen a lot of green steel discard until recently. So do keep be prepared that you might see it again. With that being said, I find this deck to be extremely high rolling. And with that, I just find this deck to depend a lot on that high roll. It's if it doesn't see the right stuff in the beginning, I think it flops more than any other deck really. But they're doing a lot of the same things that Green Steel is trying to do, just slower, but really leaning into that discard package. So what are we really looking out for? We're really looking out for this ward package, this Prince John into Muses. And the reason for that is because of the Kita and Under the Sea. Now, if they go Prince John and Muses, that's only 7. So they cannot then drop Kita and Seeing Under the Sea that turn. So they have to have something else set up. Maybe you didn't take out a Sir Hiss, maybe the Calhoun or the Ursula, because now if they have Ursula, Sir, Prince John, Muses, now they can drop Kita Under the Sea, and at that point, now you're going to have a really tough time coming back into the game. So you really have to kind of watch that. You really that Ursula, you really have to watch out for that Ursula. So if you have a chance to take it out, going and maybe turn 3 they play Prince John, then your turn 3 you need to respond and answer that Ursula, because you can't let them on turn 5 play Kita and Sing Under the Sea. Now for beating this matchup, I'm going crazy. I'm going Daisy into Smee, into Lawrence, into double Smee, or a Piglet, or a Penny. I just want to go fast because the deck, it can get to that stuff really quickly, but at the same time, it's not going to answer you as quickly as Green Steel can if they go Diablo and let the Storm Rage on turn 2. If they go Diablo into Ursula or something like that, and then Ursula sings Strength of a Raging Fire and removes 2 of your characters. This deck takes time. Their wombo combo is going to be turn 5, Kita Under the Sea. So if you just go Smee, Lawrence, Daisy, things like that, and a Penny to give the Smee back more health, you're just going to win. It's just going to be game over. If they get the Muses down, they have to have painting your roses red. So that can be something. So painting the roses red can then hit the Smee and something else and bounce, that character. So keep that in mind as well. But then bouncing Smee's not the worst case scenario because you play it again and he's healed. So with that, this list, I'm not keeping songs again. I don't want my songs to be taken out by a Diablo on turn 2. So not keeping any songs, going for a really fast aggro start. Daisy, if I get 3 daisies, awesome. I'm not opposed to going like Robin Hood Daisy, and then threatening the shift line, but you just really want to go fast. Daisy, Smee, Lawrence, whatever. Maybe it's Daisy, Smee, 1 drop, right? Whatever is going to help you gain the most lore the quickest. Okay, that is the game plan going into this list because you're just trying to beat the Hidden Cove. Also, you do have to respect the Cricky, but keep in mind if they're going Cricky, then they're going to trade most of their board. So they're kind of just resetting the game. Keep that in mind. So with that being said, let's move on. We have the next green yellow list. I just have everything hyperlinked today. All right, we got this, and then we got the Steel Song Mirror. So this list, I just took Joel's list that he won the recent, I think it was the Ravensburger event, and I just took his list because I think this is what you'll see the most of because people are gonna, copy pasta and say this deck won, it did really well. I'm going to use this deck, and it's aggro, so there's that as well. And generally, Steel Song is super favored into aggro. We know that, we love it. And it's one of my favorite things about SteelSong because I hate losing to aggro. I hate losing before I get to play my game. That being said, this deck is running the Daisy Ducks, the 1/4s, the Nalas, the 0/4, the Little Johns, the 0/4s, and then they got this nasty, nasty tramp down here that's a 2/6. So they've got a lot of cards that they can get out very early that is difficult for Steel Song to deal with. What are we most worried about? Well, we're worried about this Ursula Deceiver. That card's never going to be fun. Stealing our songs is not a great way to go. The Daisy Duck, because it's a 1/4 questing for 2, they don't care about feeding your hand. They're just trying to go fast. They're trying to get these characters down that live really well so they can play Tramp on, I think it's turn 3. They can play it. No, I think turn 4 is the earliest they can play it because they go 1-drop on 1, double 1-drop on 2, and then on turn 3, they're at 3 ink and 3 1-drops. So I think turn 4 is the easiest they can play, earliest they can play Tramp. So maybe they go 1-drop on 1, Ursula on turn 2, double 1-drop on turn 3, or 1-drop and 2-drop on turn 3, and then drop a Tramp. The other thing, though, you gotta watch out for Tramp. That 2/6 body questing for 2 is nobody, no joke, because then the Tramp opens up the Rapunzel value, and that is a great Rapunzel lock. If you look at their board, most of this stuff is super cheap. So if they're going to get the Rapunzel value, they're going to spam the board the next turn. So this deck is not easy. You guys saw it in finals. If you didn't, I highly recommend you go check out the Twitch VOD. I'll try and link it down below, but this deck can go super, super wide really, really fast. So if you can get down that Lawrence, if you can get down that Robin Hood, it's going to help, but the thing to keep in mind is if you play a Robin Hood, you're opening up Rapunzel value. So your only good way to trade with the list we're showing off is going to be the Lawrence. And that presents an issue because you have to have the Rapunzel now unless you're trading into these, 0/4, 0/1s. And that's not always going to be the best way. So if you're expecting a lot of green yellow, then Queen might be the way to go because Queen allows your characters to trade so well, your daisies and your Smees, everything else. Meanwhile, they can't just flat out trade into Queen for Rapunzel value. They're going to lose their character unless it's Tramp or Chernobog or Rapunzel. So something to keep in mind. If you're expecting a lot of green yellow, maybe Queen might be the way to go, but definitely a stellar list. Cloud Kicker is going to present a lot of issues. Tramp is giving them a lot of ability to just trade into something really well and kind of clear that from the board. Just it's a tough list. It really is. I wouldn't blame people for running it, and I wouldn't blame don't feel bad if you lose to it. Like, it is an aggro list, but this is unlike any other aggro list that we've been favored into before. I definitely don't think we are favored into this one. We're not in a negative. I just think it's very 50-50, especially with Ursula. Ursula Deceiver, just a really effective card. Now, finally, let's talk about the mirror. And for this mirror, I'm going to talk about our boy Hannes Scarin. I know I butchered that, and I'm sorry, but I'm using his list because he just did really well with his list. He got second place, and again, people will copy pasta what they saw to be successful, and so I think his list is worth showing off and using it as the thing that we look at. So looking at this list, it's very similar to what mine is, except he's opted to run the 2 Biancas and the 2 Cinderellas. And with that being said, Cinderella, we're not super concerned with, right? It's easy to answer baby Cinderella, but we've also got World's Greatest Criminal Mind, which is probably one of the best answers to the shift Cinderella. But what we are really worried about is baby Cindy. So if they go baby Cindy on turn one, you have to decide if they're on the play and they play turn one baby Cindy, you have to gamble, right? You can either say, I'm going to play the baby Cindy or I'm going to skip my turn one. And it's a high roll gamble because if they don't have the storm rage on, then you then answer their Cindy. You then start controlling the board with this Singer 3, and that can be really, really effective. So that is a choice you have to make. If you don't want to make the gamble, then I highly encourage you to go the Daisy route because Daisy is going to help you set up the strength of a raging fire because Daisy not an easy card to, to take out. Now, you're not playing Daisy to quest, right? We're not diggy diggy hole, we're not any aggro. So Daisy is simply there to help your strength of a raging fire, to help it be stronger. So, next up, though, we do have the Singer 4. Singer 4, their most powerful card and our most powerful card into the matchup. Just being able to control anything. Use Zeus, their Singer 4. Now you have two singers down, and what's the other SteelSong player going to do? Meanwhile, we have Rapunzel and Lawrence, both just really good. A lot of the times this matchup comes down to getting the most Rapunzel value. So you find yourselves in positions where if you're on the draw, you have to start making choices and you kind of have to give up Rapunzel value because you can't just let them control everything. And so you have to be that person to pivot. And oftentimes the one on the play is going to be the one to dictate the game. So the person on the draw is the one that has to get to that pivot point. So Lawrence, Rapunzel, really, really strong. Really have to watch out for them. You don't want to give that Lawrence value. So sometimes it comes down to you have to decide, do I take out the Troubadour? Do I take out their Singer 4? Or do I take out the Lawrence? So that is a really tough decision because what are you going to do? Do they have a Singer 5 down? Maybe you need to make sure they don't get Rapunzel value. If they want one draw off of like a Troubadour, sure, they can have one, right? But them drawing three off of a Lawrence because you quested with Mr. Smee or you sang with Robin Hood and then the Lawrence traded into or did 4 damage to Robin Hood, and then they play Rapunzel on their Lawrence and they draw 3 and they get a 1-5-2 down. It's just very hard to deal with. So what are you trying to do into this matchup? I love going Daisy, Troubadour, Ariel. That feels really good. If I'm on the draw, Daisy, Troubadour, Pete, Ariel. At that point, I feel unbeatable because now they just couldn't do anything. So they have to respond with a Pete of their own to try and keep that tempo going. They could go Lawrence or something, but that Pete is just gonna be so powerful. They could also go Bianca, right? Because they do play Bianca, but on the draw, I just love going Daisy, Troubadour, Pete. And then after that, you can go Naveen, or we're not on Naveen right now, but you could go Lawrence, you could go Ariel. So you play Ariel turn 4 to dig for another song. So that all feels really good. If you have a lot of SteelSong in your local meta, then things that you could do. Well, my list is kind of set up for a SteelSong meta. We're running those 5 Singer 4s, but you could also throw in the Naveen. You could throw in Bare Necessities over World's Greatest Criminal Mind. Then you just have to watch out for the Shift Cinderella. But the match is not like it used to be where you just lost if you lost the dice roll. Now there's great opportunity to skill gap your opponent, but there's also just great opportunity to still get the win in, okay? If you can go a really heavy aggro route, if you want to go Daisy into Smee into Lawrence, you have that option as well. It's just difficult because we know that SteelSong is good into aggro lists. So, all right, let's talk mulligan. So our first one, if we bring back our presentation, our first one that we had was purple steel. So let's talk purple steel and let's talk on the play, right? So if we look at this hand, it's not the best, right? Because we don't have a one drop. We don't have the singers that we talked about wanting. So we can go ahead and start, removing some stuff. Now, Rapunzel is an interesting one. Rapunzel value is going to be difficult to get in this matchup, right? Because the only way you get it really is with Lawrence or with, attacking your own character with a song. So Rapunzel is a difficult one. You could keep Pete, but we're on the play, and Pete's never a great card on the play. So here's where we're at. Smee, not a bad 2-drop. We're on the penny, trades into Calhoun. Rapunzel, that opportunity to get the value. So we'll keep the Rapunzel. If anything, it's an inkable, so we're not upset with that. So let's go ahead and do 5. Unfortunately, just a big mulligan, and it's not good. It's just not good. Um oh boy. So we're gonna have a rough game with this one because Ariel on 3, if they go ahead and drop, most likely your Ariel's never gonna make it. You're gonna have to hope for some good draws, right? Because if you go Smee into Ariel or Smee into, well, you're on the play, so it'd probably be Smee into Ariel. And then hopefully you get at least one heal off of the Smee, so then you can draw one with the Rapunzel. But going into turn 1, you ink Robin Hood and pass. And as unfortunate as it is, that's just kind of the route you have to go. I don't want to ink Penny yet because there's a potential to use Penny. But the same could be said for Robin Hood. Maybe there's a world where you keep the baby Robin Hood or you keep the big Robin Hood in case you draw the baby Robin Hood on turn 1. So you wouldn't be wrong for doing that because most likely your Ariel will live if they do not play Pete on turn 3. If they play Pete on turn 3, then there's a good chance they're just going to strength your Ariel. And if they do, it's not going to look super hot. But right now, what you can do is you can ink the big Robin Hood and pass. Next turn, if you draw an uninkable, you ink the penny and play Smee, right? And then after that, you can go Smee into Ariel and Ariel into Rapunzel. And it's not game over. You might have to hard cast the whole new world, but if they don't play Pete on turn 3, then instead of playing the Rapunzel, you just go ahead, you ink the Rapunzel, and you sing the whole new world on your turn 4, and you're back in the game, no problems whatsoever. So something to keep in mind. Not a great hand, but this is a hand that it's sometimes just what you're dealt. So let's do another one with purple steel. All right. Well, we see the Troubadour, so we're happy about that. We see the Troubadour Ariel. We're very happy about that. And we see the big Robin Hood, so we have the option to keep that. So I'm going to go 3. And you could keep a Lawrence just because it is an inkable, but I'd like to see the baby Robin Hood, and I'd like to see a 1-drop. The Ariel, if we don't see a 1-drop, we can ink big Robin Hood, and now we can go Troubadour on 2 and Ariel on turn 3 to feed the Troubadour to start controlling their board. So how do we do? Alrighty then. I'm pretty happy with this because we ink Troubadour, play Robin Hood. Turn 2, we probably almost always ink the Lawrence, play the Troubadour, pass. And then turn 3, we can go ahead and ink hopefully a card we drew to shift the Robin Hood, and we sing Let the Storm Rage on something, or we attack something because Troubadour could also sing Let the Storm Rage on something. And then turn 4, we play Ariel. If we pull a whole new world, we sing it with Robin Hood. We go about our merry way. Very, very happy. So this is a great hand into purple steel on the play. So let's talk about on the draw. Okay, then. We're not super upset with this either. And the reason we're not upset with this is because they don't have anything to take out our shift Robin Hood, right? So we can play Robin Hood safely. So what we can do is we can keep Cindy or Robin Hood. We also have the opportunity that we could go double 1-drop on turn 2. So we can go Robin Hood on 1, double 1-drop on turn 2, and then Robin Hood on 3. The problem with this is we have to draw inkables. So at that rate, I'd kind of I I think I'd keep 7 with this hand because we can ink World's Greatest Criminal Mind and play Cindy. And then now what that means is they have some tough choices to make. What do they want to do next? Maybe they play, bounce something to play a snake because they want that 3/3 down and they're worried about their 1 drop. Maybe they have a Chernobogs, they quest and banish and then play a Calhoun instead of just keeping the Chernobogs down questing for free. So I like the idea of going world's greatest, ink the world's greatest, play the Cinderella, and then turn 2, we ink the Smee to play Robin Daisy. And then turn 3, we've drawn already by our turn 3, we're going to have drawn a 3rd card. The odds of 3 uninkables is pretty low. And if it is 3 uninkables, then it's going to be 3 songs or 3 date. Well, it can be 3 Daisy Ducks because we don't have that many. So it's going to be 3 songs. So you just ink the Ariel and shift the Robin Hood, and now you can sing Strength. You can do whatever you want because you have a Cindy, Daisy, shift Robin Hood, and that's pretty good as well. So we draw 0, we keep this hand. Life is good. We love keeping 7. So next game. Okay. Interesting. So here's the nice thing about this hand is we have 3 uninkables, and currently we are on. Let me pull up the slideshow really quick. How many uninkables are we on? We're on 1, 2, 6, 10. We're only on 14 uninkables, and we currently have 3 in hand. So what we can do is we can go Zeus, World's Greatest. We keep the Daisy for 1, Troubadour on 2, Lawrence on 3. So honestly, I think we keep World's Greatest because World's Greatest gives us an inkable on turn 1. And then we ink these 2 because we're just not super concerned because Strength will let us clear anything. So we ink those 2. We mulligan and draw 2. Perfect. Awesome. An Ariel to refeed the Troubadour. So on turn 1, we ink World's Greatest. We play the Daisy. Turn 2, we ink Pete. We play Troubadour. Turn 3, we ink one of our inkables. We play Lawrence or Ariel. Probably Lawrence. And then turn 4, we play Ariel. But pretty good hand. I'm very happy with this hand on the draw. So let's look again. The things you want to watch out for, they're 1-drops. Crab, Fox. Do not stress out about the Pete repeat, okay? Look up here in my tabs. If you really want to look into what you want to do for them, go check out JDR's Purple Steel Guide. He talks about what Purple Steel wants to do and things to watch out for. So learn from the best on what you want to do against them, okay? So getting back to this, let's go ahead, and our next mulligans are against Kiwi, I believe. No, Green Steel. Okay, so Green Steel. Let's do a new game. Oh no. So this is so this makes me really nervous. And the reason for this is because we're getting rid of 4 cards. Getting rid of those 4 cards, there's an extremely high probability that we draw more songs. So now you have to ask yourself the question of, do I just want to go really big? Because you could also get rid of the Smee. And the reason for this is because you're probably going to draw into more songs at this point, and you don't have a singer. So you could get the Troubadour or the Ursula. Remember, you have 5 singer 4s and 4 Cinderellas. So 9 cards in your deck sing a song. So you have to ask yourself, do I just keep the Smee and I have, Robin Hood Quest for 1 and then Smee and then shift Robin Hood? Oh, this is a really tough one. I think we get rid of the Smee. I think we get rid of the Smee and we just, if we didn't have to alter so many cards, I'd keep the Smee. But I think we do this because we really want the singer 4, Even a Cindy would be fine, but a Singer 4 would be perfect. And this is what I was afraid of. This is this is not good. So yeah, at this point, you have to hope that Green Steel is going to just low roll. You ink. What you have to do here is you ink the Robin Hood. You play the Daisy. Now you are on the play in this one, so because you are on the play, there is a chance that your Ariel will be able to sing that whole new world. The problem with that is they have Diablo. So if they go Diablo on 1, shift Diablo on 2, and play Ursula, and then on their turn 3, if they play another character, they can strength to take out your Ariel. So that's not good. um Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing you can do about it. I think you, like I said, you ink the Robin Hood, you play the Daisy Duck. At that point, if you draw an inkable, you can ink that, keeping the Robin Hood and the Smee. Because if if you draw into a Robin Hood, you have the opportunity to get that Robin Hood down, and that's going to be one of your ways to seeing one of these whole new worlds. So this game is not over because you are on the play, but right now the goal is going to be Daisy and either Smee or Robin Hood into Ariel, and then hopefully turn 4, if you can sing whole new world, it might be game over. All right, but if they go Pete, if they go anything, and then strength the Ariel, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be really rough. So, but do I think I would have done the mulligan any differently? No. Because we mulligan 4, right? So we were always going to. I don't know how exactly what the new card, if Robin Hood is the Smee or not, but the whole new worlds were always a high probability. Uninkables always a high probability. So I'm fine with the mulligan. I wouldn't have changed anything. So next one, we are on the play. This is better. All right. So yeah, this is much better. I would like to see an Ariel. Ariel would make me really happy here, but we can go ahead and get rid of the penny. We can get rid of the strength. And I don't want to get rid of anything else. And the reason is because I don't want more songs, right? So you could even keep the penny and just get rid of the strength. And that's not a bad idea either. But we are on the play. So we'll get rid of the penny. Crap. Oh, no. So this is like I said, we could have kept the penny and only gotten rid of the one card because we had a good line. Cindy into Troubadour, into Lawrence, into a Rapunzel, into a hard cast Robin Hood. But now you're stuck with a whole new world that is going to get Ursula, right? So now you're down to 3 whole new worlds. And the best way to win this matchup is a whole new world. So you're down to 3 now. You have no Ariel to dig for another. There's a world where the last game you could have just kept 7, or the hand you could have kept all 7. Ink the Strength of a Raging Fire on turn 1, or you don't even have to do that. Yeah, we messed up. We messed up a lot. We messed up a lot. We should have just kept the last hand because, and this is why, because we keep the last hand, alter nothing, right? Because we go Cindy on 1, inking the penny. Turn 2, we could have also just inked Troubadour, to be honest, because turn 2 we play the penny and just to start questing for 2, and we sing Strength of a Raging Fire to take out Baby Diablo. Turn 3 we ink something, play Lawrence. Turn 4 we play Rapunzel. Even if Rapunzel's not drawing you anything, you just play Rapunzel because you're questing for 2 with the penny, 1 with the Cindy, 2 with the Lawrence, and another 2 with the Rapunzel. So I gave you really bad advice. So hopefully you're still watching so you know to not do what I did. That last hand was perfect when you're on the play because you can answer the Baby Diablo every single time. So keep that in mind. Now let's talk on the draw. All right. On the draw. So Robin Hood's not the best. It is a one drop, but it's not the best, but it is a one drop. World's Greatest Criminal Mind is an inkable. Pete, actually, I'm okay with this hand. I'm actually okay with this hand because turn one, we ink the World's Greatest Criminal Mind. I'm not against getting rid of this because it's a great answer into the shift Pete. So that's an idea. But again, I don't want a bunch of songs. So I think I'm happy with this. I think we can go ahead and keep the World's Greatest Criminal Mind. We keep this hand because we can ink the World's Greatest Criminal Mind on one and go Robin Hood. Turn two, because now they have to respect that because you could play turn three Robin Hood. So turn two, you drop Troubadour. Turn three, you drop Pete in case because if they drop Ursula, three drop Ursula, you drop Pete to stop that, and then you drop Ariel because Ariel lets your Troubadour sing Zeus or Strength on the three drop Ursula. Meanwhile, you still have Inkables and Lawrence's, or you just play them. So we'll keep this hand, and we're happy. And that's on the draw. So the big thing with green steel is you don't want to be greedy if you don't have to be. And we saw that last hand. You saw I got greedy. I didn't take a second. I didn't slow down. And I got really punished for it. So just err on the side of caution against green steel because they want you to draw a bunch of songs in your opening altar so they can just Ursula them away. So just err on the side of caution and you're going to be fine, okay? So next up on our list, we do have Kiwi. All right, new game. So this is our opening hand against Kiwi. What are we doing with this opening hand? We're worried about Calhoun. We're worried about Pluto's, but those are all a little bit slower. So early, we're mostly worried about shift Robin Hood. So how do we prevent that? When we're on the play, let the storm rage on. Currently, we have 1, 2, 3 on Inkables in hand. So we're left with 11 in our deck. So I'm pretty comfortable with keeping one Daisy, keeping one Let the Storm Rage on, getting rid of this. You could just get rid of Let the Storm Rage on for Strength of a Raging Fire. But I'm comfortable doing this because they're going to want to play a one drop. And they're one not well, you played Daisy, so they might feel comfortable playing a one drop because you haven't done anything else yet. And they can't just get rid of their one drops like Purple can. So I think that keeping Let the Storm Rage on is going to be relatively safe to do. You could keep Strength. That way, Strength answers the Calhoun that they play on turn 2. So that is also an option. So I think we could keep both. Ooh, this one is a little tough. Like, I don't want to get rid of Rapunzel. I kind of want to be greedy to dig for the Robin Hood because we could do something like this because we are kind of protected by the Troubadour. Sorry, we'd do something like this and maybe even this and go 4, digging for another one drop. So we could do something like this, but if I did something like this, it'd be extremely greedy, right? This is a very, very greedy move because you can't keep Strength either. So you'd have to mulligan 5, and essentially you're digging for Baby Robin Hood for the shift, and you're digging. Well, really, that's kind of just it. The Baby Robin Hood shift, and that's kind of the only thing you're digging for. The reason you can't keep Strength is because your turn 3, you're shifting Robin Hood, and that doesn't banish the Calhoun. So you'd have to do something like this going 4. The safer play is to do something like this. So you have a 1, 2, takes out their singers, only searching for a 3 drop. But that's the safer play. You could even keep Rapunzel, but that's going to be... The reason you could keep Rapunzel is because of the Daisy Duck, because they're going to want to quest, but now they can't because of Daisy and Rapunzel value. So they're going to have to wait to go one drop into Smee, into Alice, into Pluto. So they're going to have to play the long game. We're going to go greedy, though. We're going to go greedy. We're going to risk it for the biscuit, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to go greedy. We're on the play. We can afford a little bit to be greedy. There we go. So I'm always a bigger fan of being greedy on the play, only because you have the benefit of going on the play. On the play has that much better win rate. We already had a way to slow down their board, and then now we have a perfect curve. Robin Hood into Troubadour. Let the Storm Rage on turn 3. Shift Robin Hood on turn 3. Ariel on turn 4. Maybe a whole new world, right? Perfect world. So pretty nice. So let's go ahead and do another on the play. This one. So, well, we could. This one gives a couple different options. We could set up the Rapunzel lock with the Lawrence and the Rapunzel. Or we could just go the control route with the Troubadour and Ariel. But the nice thing about Lawrence is that protects us against the Alice, right? Because Lawrence trades and takes out the Alice in one go. So I think what you can do, because we still want to take out, I think we still keep, no, I think we can do this. Because Ariel is probably going to get us an answer to take out the baby Robin Hood. So a 1-drop would be nice, but we don't need it. We only need a 2 and a 3 if we get a strength. So we're just going to do 3, and we're keeping Rapunzel for the lock with the Lawrence. And when we go 3, this isn't bad. We're not upset with this. We have an easy inkables because we inked the Robin Hood. We have our answer for their baby Robin Hood if they go that route. And then if they don't go that route and they play, nothing on turn 1 and then Calhoun on turn 2, then we can just go Ariel on turn 3. We get a song and we just be a little patient because they're not going to quest with Calhoun. They're not questing anytime fast. So we just kind of chill out a little. Because you could also, if they play Calhoun, you could go ahead and just play Lawrence on turn 3 and then quest with Troubadour. If they use Calhoun doesn't take out Troubadour, and if they tried, then Lawrence just takes out Calhoun and you get Rapunzel value. So this is a really good hand. No 1-drop, but that's fine. Again, we just want to control their early game, control that tempo line getting going, and then we just whole new world eventually or beat them down and we'll be all right. So let's talk on the draw. Not great. The Ariel is nice, but we don't have anything to do with the Ariel. So we could go something like this. So we got 13 uninkables left in the deck, but we're looking for the 1-drop Robin Hood into Smee, into Robin Hood, into Ariel. So, no. So this is unfortunate. Like I said, we didn't have any 1-drops in that opening altar. And no 1-drops, and we have 10 1-drops in the deck. We have 5 Singer 4s, and we didn't see any, right? So of 10, 15 cards that we wanted to see, we didn't see out of the altar, out of 2 altars, or 1 altar, 2 hands. So it's unlucky, right? It is unlucky that we didn't see any of that stuff. Now, what do we do with this hand? It's Inca Smee pass. And the reason for that is because you can still get the Robin Hood, right? So I don't want to ink the Robin Hood just yet. And then turn 2, we might draw into one of our 5-cost singers. So I don't want to get rid of the strength yet. Now turn 2, if we don't see a singer, then it's probably get rid of the strength. and play the Smee, and then turn 3. At this point, hopefully we've seen an Inkable. If we haven't, we can get rid of the Robin Hood and we play the Ariel. Ariel's going to be able to sing Zeus to take out something, most likely the Calhoun, and hopefully they don't strength, right? So yeah, it's a little rough. The other thing to keep in mind with this is Kiwi right now does run this fire the cannons. So that is something again you have to worry about because they are on the play. So you have to remember that if you do play the Cindy, then or the Robin Hood, they just take it out. So yeah, a little bit of a rough hand. It's not over though. The aerial is going to be really effective. If they don't have strength, then that's pretty good. And remember, they don't have an aerial to dig for strength, right? So that is something on your side as well. Their only draw power is Doc, really. I think it is. I think that is their only draw power. Yeah. It's just Doc. So it's not the end of the world. This hand is fine. Inks me, pass. Ink Strength, place me, pass, Ink Big Robin Hood or another Inkable Ariel, and pass. And then now you can sing Zeus, or maybe you do need to sing Whole New World because you're really desperate. Because when you sing that Whole New World, you're singing it with Ariel. You have a Smee on board that can trade, and you're going to be on 4 ink. So you can drop a Troubadour and some 1-drops or whatever it may be. So just singing Whole New World instead of trying to control the board with Zeus could be really impactful here. So, and it's one of those things to learn with Whole New World. I think what would be pretty cool is to make like a table that says, do I sing Whole New World? Yes, no. Yes, whatever, right? Do I have 2 singers down? Yes, I sing Whole New World. Something like that. I know it has a name, so maybe you guys can let me know in the comments. But let's move on. Our next one we're talking about is green, yellow discard. So green, yellow discard, the things we are looking out for, and I'll kind of go a little bit faster because the video is getting long. The ward characters, the Kita, the Under the Sea. So let's look at a new hand. And what are we looking for here? To go fast. We just want to go fast. We don't want this Whole New World. We don't want this Strength of a Raging Fire. But I don't want a mulligan super heavy because we're keeping Strength of a Raging Fire. We're on the play, right? So on the play, we can afford to keep Cindy and Strength of a Raging Fire to answer the baby Diablo. So what I would really like to see here, probably get rid of the Robin Hood because I want to see a 2-drop, but I don't want to get rid of a whole lot, right? So we'll most likely ink the Rapunzel, play Cindy. Turn 2, we ink something, play Daisy. Keeping the Ariel for an ant, something to do with Cindy. So we'll mulligan alter 2. Well, what's interesting about this is they have no way to deal with your aerials. They have no way to answer your Cinderella. So if you go Cindy on 1, you ink the Rapunzel, Cindy on 1. Turn 2, worst case scenario, ink an aerial to play Daisy. Turn 3, hopefully you've seen an inkable, and then you can just start spamming, aerials and stuff. So maybe, yeah, so that is an option. So that's not a bad option. This hand is actually pretty good. It lets you control the board. The problem is you're not going fast. So if they play just warded characters, Under the Sea is just going to clear your whole board. And that's there's nothing you can do about it. These aerials are going to get you nowhere fast. So hopefully they dig you up. You play an aerial and the next aerial digs you up Whole New World. That could be pretty good. So that would actually be really good. So that's kind of what you're hoping for here is turn 4 Whole New World or one of these aerials pulling you a Whole New World. Let's talk on the draw, okay? So on the draw, you're never keeping a song, right? So you don't want these. I'm not opposed to keeping Pete because right now you can go Daisy, Smee, Pete. So that's something. Rapunzels aren't the best. They're easily taken out of commission by the muses, but at the same time they're inkables. So I think we don't want songs and we've got 14 songs left in the deck. So we're just going to do 2. Perfect. All right. So here's what we got now. So we ink Rapunzel and play Daisy. And then turn 2, we can decide depending on what we want to what we draw, but most likely we ink the Troubadour. Actually, I think we ink the Rapunzel on turn 2 to play the Smee, and then turn 3 we ink the other. We either ink Pete or the other Rapunzel because we can go Troubadour plus Daisy at this point. So now we have 2 daisies down, a Smee and a Troubadour. So that allows us a lot of good draw options, be it a Lawrence or an Ariel, both being able to do strong things for us. Control the board with the Troubadour, or Lawrence and just quest to 20 before they ever get a chance to play Kita into Under the Sea. And remember, if they go Prince John and Muses, they have to have Painting the Roses red to get rid of the Smee. So if they have to use Muses to sing, then you take out the Prince John and you're not too upset with that. So let's talk the next green yellow, and this is going to be the turn of dogs. So what are we doing with this one? Remember, they are aggro, okay? They are aggro. They're going to want to aggro you out, so you have to be prepared for that. So what do we want to do is we need to be able to control their board, but things like Let the Storm Rage On aren't going to do it, especially when we don't have a singer. So we take Let the Storm Rage On, get rid of it. Gaston, we don't care. Daisy Duck, we don't want it. Pete, we don't really want that either, and I'm getting rid of it. Now, I have 2 Robin Hoods here because I want something that can help quest on turn 2, right? Or not quest. Sorry, I want something that can help challenge on turn 3. Daisy Duck could do that, but Robin Hood can also do that really well. So, and I just don't want to keep an inkable right now when I'm going to alter pretty heavy. So, all right. Not the best. Not what we were hoping for, but it's not bad. Rapunzel is going to be really convenient here because we don't want a whole new world. So what we can do is we can ink the Cindy, play Robin Hood. Turn 2, we ink the Robin Hood and play Troubadour because all we need is 1 damage plus the shift. With the 1 plus the shift, we're able to take out those 0/4s. So they're going to be questing anyways, most likely. So now on turn 3, you just start taking them out. And Troubadour takes no damage. Robin Hood takes maybe 1 damage. And so that sets you up for the Rapunzel on turn 4. And we're fine with that. All right. We're not doing a lot of trading, but we refilled with Rapunzel with 1 card, and we're questing for 2 with Rapunzel. So we're happy with that. All right. So pretty good hand. I'm never super upset to see Robin Hood. It is a little unfortunate because they can just, send the Nala into Robin Hood for the Rapunzel value, but it's not the end of the world, okay? So if you can control the board, you're doing fine. But there's also the argument, if they're not questing, then you don't want to quest either. You don't want to quest with that Robin Hood to give them the free Rapunzel value. So you can quest on turn 3, but you can't quest going into their turn 4 anymore. Robin Hood can only be used to take out their characters, and at that point, if you take out their, you have to. If they get Rapunzel value, then they get Rapunzel value. Then there's nothing you can do about it. It's because whether you quest or not, they're going to get the Rapunzel value. So moving on, we'll do on the draw. Ooh, so with this hand, we could prevent strictly the Curse Merfolk and Lady. So there's 8 1-drops that we prevent, right? Or no, only 6 1-drops that we prevent. But it does prevent the Piglet. I think the only thing I'm going to do is get rid of the Robin Hood. Yeah. I think I'm going to get rid of the Robin Hood. I want to keep the Smee because the Smee will help trade into things. And I want to keep the Penny to heal the Smee from trading into things. So turn 3, we're able to use Smee plus the Storm Rage on to take care of something. Meanwhile, Cinderella, we're on the play. We are on the plate, so does that change anything? I don't think it does change anything because now, yeah, I don't think it does change anything. I'd rather have a troubadour for the aerials, but I don't think it changes anything. I think we just do the one. We could do aerial, but I don't want a lot of uninkables. We're not going to want a lot of uninkables. I want to be able to find songs to control the board. So we're just going to do Robin Hood and get a Cindy. So we have an easy ink, right? So we go ink, place, ink Cindy, place Cindy. Ink Smee, maybe sing, or sorry, we do not ink Smee on turn 2. We ink Penny on turn 2 or an aerial, depending on what we drew coming up. So first we draw, right? What do we draw? Most likely we ink the penny. And then we can go at, like I said, penny or aerial. If we drew a song, we can probably ink the aerial. If we didn't, we probably ink the penny. So on turn 2, and then we play Smee. Turn 3, we ink something, play an aerial, and Smee plus the Storm Rage on, take out one of their 0-4s or 1-4s. We're happy with that. Life feels good. So yeah, not too shabby. The biggest thing with this matchup is you're trying to prevent the turn 4 tramp. Okay, that's going to be a big deal. You don't want them to get super wide with that tramp because then they dig out a Chernabog. And if you don't have the world's greatest criminal mind, then that's going to really hurt. So but we're not even worried about the Chernabog. We're worried about what we saw on the VOD of them just going super, super wide. So lucky with Ariel, Ariel's going to help prevent us from having to use Whole New World. So we can just go ahead and do this route, be happy, carry on with our lives. So next up, we have the SteelSong Mirror. And how do we feel about this on the play? All right. So no 2-drop. I'm immediately not happy about. We don't necessarily care about the Pete. Pete can be good because if they Pete, the best answer into that is a Pete of your own. So I'm not necessarily upset about Pete, but you're never playing Pete on turn 3 when you're on the play. I mean, you could, right? Because we don't have a Zoo, or we don't have a Singer 4. So we could, I think we keep Pete still. Because this matchup is all about controlling the opponent. So I think we're still happy with keeping the Pete. We can get rid of the Gaston and get rid of the Rapunzel. We just don't need the Rapunzel when we're on the play because we're looking to Whole New World. So I think we're looking for a 2-drop. Yeah, I think we're still just looking for a 2-drop and hoping to find it. A song would be really good here to answer their. A song would be really good here to answer their Troubadour, or to answer their Cindy. So we're going to get rid of the other aerial. That is rough. But I really want a 2-drop here. I really want a 2-drop. I really want my Singer 4 to find me that Zeus with Ariel on turn 3. Yep, this is what we're going to go with. All right. So, looking for 2-drop. It's not the ideal 2-drop, but it's not bad either because what this 2-drop allows us to do is we can go Cinderella on 1 and then they play nothing, right? They skip their turn 1. That's fine, okay? But if they played, this is actually pretty good because we ink Robin Hood on 1, we play Cindy on 1. Turn 2, we ink something, strength or whatever we draw and play Penny. Penny, of course, it doesn't matter. Give the resist 1 to Penny, right? Don't forget you can give resist 1 to herself, but it doesn't really matter. And then turn 3, if they play Troubadour, then we can go ahead and play Pete and then or even Ariel because we have nope. So we play Pete because then we play Ariel on turn 4 so that we can strength the Troubadour on. And then if they, unless they played Pete, if they played Pete, they played Pete. So, but now they have to decide, do I take out your Cindy or do I take out your Ariel? Most likely they take out the Ariel. They're not as afraid of the big Cindy, so they take out the Ariel, but you're still left with the Cinderella and the Strength of a Raging Fire to take out their Troubadour. And I leave their 5 cost because if they want to sing Whole New World, or their Singer 5, if they want to sing Whole New World, sing Whole New World. My hand is lower than yours, most likely anyways. So I'm perfectly okay with letting you feed my hand. So let's talk on the draw. Okie dokie. So we'll just go ahead and do something like this. Yeah. We don't want the Zeuses. If we had Troubadour, I'm not against keeping Zeuses because we have that answer then, and Zeus will always be able to be used. So I'm not against using Zeus at that point or keeping Zeus, but we don't have Troubadour, so I don't want to risk it for the biscuit. And then I'm a big gambler. What can I say? I'd like to gamble my turn 1 Cindy. And if they do play a Cindy of their own, then I drop Cindy and force them to have a song. Because if they don't have a song and I do, then I win that little ordeal, right? So because now they have to answer my Cindy. So we'll do 5. All right, we get another. What in the world? All right, Dreamborn, so be it. So this is an interesting hand, and what I would do here is I would ink the World's Greatest Criminal Mind, play the Cinderella, and then turn 2, ink the Smee, play the Robin Hood. Because if they didn't remove Cinderella on turn 1, then now they have to decide, do I remove the Cinderella or do I remove the Robin Hood? And if they let you keep Robin Hood, you're really happy to just make that shift. Because next turn, you still, like, I'd feel really good about that. Because strength isn't going to do you any good with Ariel because you need 4 characters down for strength to matter. So I'd be really happy with that. So I play Cindy first, let them use their song on Cindy. Then I play Robin Hood, and hopefully turn 3 shift Robin Hood. And then I have 2 Ariels potentially to follow up with. So pretty good hand. So with all that being said, I think I could have, nope, we couldn't have done that. Oh, and now my webcam's in the way. So with all that being said, this is kind of this ended up being a really long video, 1 hour and 20 minutes. This will probably take 2 hours to upload. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're still around, we are doing the Lorcana runners, right? So feel free to join that. Win yourself a Rapunzel, just join my Discord and then you can kind of come in here and, announce that you did your miles, right? So, but I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. If you did, let me know. If you want something a little bit more in depth where we just spend an hour going through live altars, let me know. I'm not against doing that either. I think there's a lot of value in doing something like that because the altar is a really difficult part. And you saw where there were even where I did some things that weren't super clever or super smart to do either. So I could use the practice as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. I sound a little hoarse. I apologize. It's pretty late. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to get this uploaded so you guys have it before your games. Good luck at Set Champs. I hope you guys kill it. I hope you have tons of fun. Regardless of what happens, let me know. Okay, did you do better than last time? Did something not work well? Did you win a hero championship, Matt? Did you win a hero card? Let me know. Okay, I'm going to be living through you guys because I can't play any Set Champs right now. So ladies and gentlemen, with all that being said, remember, nothing matters more than being happy and healthy. Until next time, I'll see you all around.